I'm on a little bit of a losing streak again. I got to kick things back up because it's been a little bit of a rough go. I'm posting my stuff still on Stake Kings, and I feel kind of guilty. I'm going to start posting it cheaper. But man, it's just been a little bit of a rough go. Sheets, you had a nice day yesterday. Talk quickly about that, and then
Yeah, so I got like 30th or something like that in the 555 milli maker, and then I also did okay in the FanDuel stuff. I had a couple of good takes. I played my highest owned wide receiver was Drake London, as I mentioned.
nice.
So that's nice. I didn't quite put the stack together, but if I did, it wouldn't have mattered because I would have run all of them back with Mike Evans, and that wouldn't have worked out anyway. I played a little bit too much Vikings, and when the combination of Justin Jefferson going down and Minnesota getting shut out, or did they get shut out, or the other team get shut out?
No, they won 3-0.
They got the 3. That wasn't happening. But listen, no matter what happens every week, just Purdy and those receivers just put up freaking numbers. They just do.
But still, the afternoon games outside of Debo, you really didn't need much else. You know what I mean? We thought we would get a lot more action, but really just.
Well, you know what? Because you had all kinds of wild stuff. I mean, you had Garrett Wilson doing well in the early session. You had you had a lot of good stuff. So anyway, I'm ready to get after the NBA part today, which is a 13-game slate. We're gonna have all kinds of content throughout the day and night. I'm gonna do kind of different lineup builds for the showdown, the NFL, because again, that's the thing I've been kind of like interested in a lot is the 2-game slates and the showdown stuff. So I'm going to do like kind of separate lineup builds for that. But this NBA is like a very classic type of slate with incredible looking centers like usual, and waiting for news that we don't know what it's going to be. You have a combination of some 250 point totals plus some real duds, and let's take an early look at it and see what we got.
Yeah, they should make this slate that you should get like 200,000 for winning no matter what.
I say that a lot. It's
this is a tough.
I mean, like some of these slates you should get like a bonus. It's like
it's really going to be hard. And as we've seen, it's funny though, is like a lot of these big slates that we've seen actually have been lower scoring because people do spread out more and get drawn to certain plays. And I actually think tonight will be high scoring, but we'll see.
Well, I'll tell you, listen, only because I've had him on here. I want to retout this kid. I mean, there's this kid from Caltech who I had on. I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and one of our subs has taken to some of his advice as well, like as far as satellites go. The guy's a real killer. This DFS PhD guy. I mean, he doesn't really play that big or anything like that, but he knows what he's doing. He's a thinking guy, and I like guys that think like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he was commenting about like these big slates like this. It's not like Showdown where you have to play everybody. I mean, they're just guys that, a huge slate. You just if you don't like a game, just exit. You know what I mean? If you don't like a guy, just exit him. You don't have to play like hundreds of guys. And
just to touch on that real quick, I think it's been one of my mistakes. It's not in the NBA, but in the NFL, I think it's been one of my mistakes this year. I really noticed that I'm getting a little too fearful of not having certain guys and spreading out a little thinner than I would probably should.
Yeah.
But on these slates, like you said, you really, take some stances, and that's pretty much it. Like it's going to be a little bit weird. Anyway,
let's take a look at the breakdown of timing first of all. So 4 games at 7, 2 at 7:30, then 5 of them at 8 o'clock, then another break to late swap. Actually, it's the only real break to late swap. Then 10 and 10:30. Yeah, if you win the slate, you have earned it. And thank God, well, not thank God, but whatever, that the juicy stuff isn't late, because then you really have to be on top of whatever. Maybe the juicy stuff is late. We don't know. We'll figure it all out.
Yep. We will. All right. So let's start off with it. We got Miami, Charlotte. Why don't you? What do you like here?
Yeah. So I ran some projections. I ran a Saberson build and all this stuff, and it's weird. I mean, I'm getting all these Charlotte guys, and you just don't. You don't think that you want to play too many guys in general against Miami. So, okay, the first one is obvious. So you have Nick Richards, who presuming what? Oh, he's doubtful. Okay, so you have Nick Richards, who is still 4,600. He looks like one of 2 or 3 actually really kind of smash cheap centers, all within like $100 of each other. And he's going to be popular. But even after that, I mean, I'm getting exposure to like Gordon Hayward, and getting exposure to P.J. Washington, Brandon Miller, Terry Rozier. It doesn't seem as though this is what you're supposed to do. Play too much against Miami. But that's what I'm getting right now. And then on Miami side, I'm seeing, despite the fact that Kevin Love is now sort of priced up to 5,200, getting like a little bit of him, and that just doesn't seem right either.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I want to do, but Nick Richards is obviously one of I think 3 kind of standout $4,500 center players.
Yeah, my guess is this projection on Kevin Love is going to dwindle throughout the day. I have no idea why it's as high as it is. Feels a little fishy to me. I think that, look, if you make a case for Richards on one side, but I think Orlando Robinson you can make a case for on the other side. I think you can make a case for Jimmy Butler if you wanted to play enough of the Charlotte guys. It isn't the same team defensively, Miami, quite without Bam, but they're still good. They're still a good defensive team that plays slow. And that's the Richards question is something that I'm going to have to figure out today, because I don't see it as being this automatic smash value play. I do think that there's plenty of routes for it to fail. Also, we've seen P.J. Washington start in some of these matchups. So I'm not even 100% sure that Nick Richards is going to start. He probably will, but we should probably just keep an eye closer to lock. Hopefully we'll get a starting lineup, because that's going to dictate a lot. But yeah, a lot of iffy plays for me in that game that are showing up as fairly chalky that I don't know if I necessarily agree with. I think my favorite play would probably be maybe Terry Rozier, but just there's so many good guys to spend up for today. It's hard to prioritize them. Okay, now we get to Washington and Philly, right?
The Washington and Philly is more of 240-point total, 11-point spread. In a vacuum, I imagine that Embiid's going to look like a good play, because he always does. But again, with this early stage, the combination of there being good value centers and there being very little as far as good value anything else makes getting to Embiid kind of difficult. But then again, I mean, if you want to construct in a certain way, you could say, you know what, I'm going to do the other way. I'm going to make sure to get Embiid, and I'll figure the rest out. So that's definitely one way to go. In my current builds, though, I'm not really getting too much of this game at all. Tyus Jones, 5,600, seems a little overpriced, but I'm getting some amount of him. But aside from that, and the usual kind of Embiid if you feel like it, really not getting too much in this game either.
Yeah. I sort of, it's a big total. Obviously, there's a big spread, and we just saw this matchup the other day where Embiid has smashed twice against these guys. I think he'll do it again. And Tyrese Maxey had a big game in the last. Well, he was good enough anyway. He got near 50, I believe. So I actually like the idea of trying to get to Embiid or Maxey. I'm having a hard time getting anything on Washington. I just want to point out that Daniel Gafford has played well against Philly, against Embiid so far this season, and just leave it there, but probably not going to end up using him because there's too many other centers. All right, Cleveland and Orlando. What do you got?
Yeah, I do have Cleveland and Orlando next, and I missed the news where Evan Mobley was ruled out somehow, and I'm sort of glad I did. I think I imagine that Jared Allen was like 100% owned.
I ended up playing him, and he was terrible.
And he only, in 25 minutes, he only scored 20 fantasy points or whatever. Did anybody else get there that kind of started? Like, did Niang start or something? Or
no, he played. By the way, I've got a very funny story, because my friend was hanging out with one of the guys you're mentioning. I don't want to really give it all. Well, this guy, I guess I'll just say it. But one of my closest friends was hanging out with him in Miami until about 5 a.m. the night before. Before the game. So I was like a little bit. I actually called her. I was like, "Should I play this guy? Like, I don't know how rested is he? Like, anyway." But Yang got some minutes, and he was fine. He put up 20 fantasy points.
But I'm not. I mean, it seems like a slow game that nobody projects well in. I guess I pass.
Yeah, I think it's a really good spot to go back to Jared Allen, just because it's really interesting that if we would have just gotten the news today and we could skip the last game, Jared Allen would probably end up being one of the popular centers and probably projecting 38 fantasy points or 4. Actually, he's still projecting pretty well. But his ownership looks like it's going to be non-existent. So I like the idea of maybe getting a little Jared Allen at low ownership. And just a reminder, without Mobley, it does help these other guys have a higher ceiling. I don't think I'm going to get to Mitchell, but I do think it benefits him a little bit, and I think it benefits Garland, but I'm just not quite getting to any of those plays. And Orlando, you've got Isaac and Suggs questionable. If they're out, we could talk again about Cole Anthony. I don't know that I want to pay 7K for him, but he, Wagner, and Banchero are all much stronger plays, I think, if you get both Isaac and Suggs out, just because it's a little bit less to compete with. But we don't know that yet as of right now.
All right, so the Harlem Globetrotters tour goes from Vegas to Detroit now. So we have Pacers against Detroit. So I presume that game's going to shoot in the 300s. So who do we play? So I'm currently getting the following Detroit guys: Bojan Bogdanovic, Killian Hayes, and Cade Cunningham. And I'm getting them like kind of all of them over 15%. And as far as Indiana goes, I'm not getting up to Halliburton though. Weird. So, well, not weird. It's again the same argument. You know, it's kind of tough to find the value there. But so I'm getting Turner and Buddy Hield actually right now. But it's obviously a game where you want to just kind of do something. I mean, it's a 245-point total, and neither team plays a lot of defense. That's part of why there's 245-point total. Mm-hmm. But I'll go back to the original Detroit guys. So Cunningham, Killian Hayes, and Bojan Bogdanovic.
You didn't have Isaiah Stewart showing up for you projection-wise?
Well, he did projection-wise, but as far as getting him in actual lineups, the other centers just look much better. I think that's the problem.
He's got the forward eligibility for what it's worth.
Okay. I had him with it's weird. So Sabersim had him like a 33-point projection. I only have him like 28. So that's definitely impacting that. So I have to take a look at that.
Yeah, and I think that 33 is a little bit ambitious. This is definitely a game that I like. I think that if I had to pick my favorite on the Detroit side, it would probably be Cunningham, followed by Hayes, followed probably by Stewart. And I think that, but I really think you could like consider all these guys. I mean, Jaden Ivey in an up-tempo matchup. Wiseman is projecting fairly well, which is kind of interesting. I don't even know that how much he'll actually end up playing. We really need a Detroit starting lineup to know what to do. They've really been messing around with their lineups lately, and it's really hard to know what to do without, is Sar Thompson going to play 30 minutes or is he going to play 12? Like they really go back and forth with that. But starting off, I just think Cunningham and either Hayes or Cunningham or Hayes and Stewart are a good way to start. And then I think running it back with one of Turner. If Neesmith is out, he's questionable. Maybe Matherin or Toppin. But harder to find things you love on the Indiana side. But maybe it's just worth it just to pay up for Halliburton and hope that he's still doing his Halliburton thing. He had a rough game against the Lakers. They did a pretty good job against him. And, fantasy-wise, he had a rough game. He actually played okay. But I would like to hopefully see Halliburton's usage increase again because it's kind of lowered a little bit the last few games. So this is probably one of the games you could try and stack on this slate. And I think that the Detroit side especially is appealing.
I may as well give out the Pistons plus the point. I imagine the plus point against Indiana. I mean, Indiana's coming off the nice run in the play-in tournament, and they played the finals against Vegas, and now they're going into Detroit. Seems like a pretty classic spot to not bring your best game and have kind of a letdown. So just to be kind of a purist, I'll probably take the Pistons plus the points.
I will point out the Pistons have lost 19 in a row. Just to give
that means I'm going to get the points then, right?
They're due. They're due for.
I don't necessarily playing plus money line.
Yeah. No, I got you. But I actually had the same sort of thought that I think that after that, there could be a little bit of a letdown for Indy. I don't know if it'll matter much though, to be honest, because Detroit's so bad.
Well, all right. Next, I'm doing this right now. Hold on, before I forget.
What do you got here? You're getting a stack?
No, I'm going to put in my the bet on the Pistons. If I don't do it, that's like something that I will definitely forget to do. So I'm getting them plus 7 points. Okay, that's it. Okay. All right. You want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on to Denver, Atlanta.
So now we got money I have to make back now in draft in DFS. All right. Denver, Atlanta. All right. So it's another, I imagine, pretty high total. with pretty close spread here. I imagine we don't have. Oh no, Trae Young is back, so that's why I'm really not getting to much anything here. So I'm really not getting to anything on the Atlanta side, and I'm actually not getting to Jokic, which means I'm not getting anything on Denver either. You like anything here?
Kind of like Jokic.
He's a good player.
It's hard to get to him, and it's the same thing, with Embiid. I think they're very similar plays. I kind of like the game environment. Well, the game environment's great for both, but they might need Jokic a little bit more in Atlanta than Embiid is needed against Washington at home. I didn't get to anything on the Atlanta side. It feels like a big total. Like maybe there'd be something I'd want to do, but I just can't quite get to it. So, as of right now, I don't have anything from this game as a priority. All right, moving on. Toronto, New York.
Gross, low scoring.
Yep.
Terrible, no play.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Just going to point out that Scotty Barnes just seems to go nuts every time we don't play him. That's it. The one thing is you don't have Mitch Robb today, so I actually think Hartenstein.
Oh, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, my total bad. He was one of the three centers I had. So Nick Richards, 4,600. Also, Isaiah Thomas, Isaiah Hartenstein. I have him actually projected for within 1 point. If actually the same as Nick Richards. He's also going to be similarly owned with Mitch Robinson out. So he's the second of the three similarly priced centers. But aside from that, I don't like anything.
I think that he's the one play in this game that stands out. And for what it's worth, my instant feeling is sort of maybe a little more interested in Hartenstein than I do in Richards, but.
That's a question I'm going to put to you at the end of the day is which of the 4,600 centers you like more?
Yeah, I think it'd be Hartenstein for me, but I'm also not necessarily sold on that either of them are guaranteed plays that they're being treated as. All right, Dallas and Memphis.
Yeah, this is really weird for me. I guess it's because, I've talked about this before. When there's value at the center position and nowhere else, then the other place you can get value are from these sometimes are really bad value and you just have to kind of pick them. And I'm, for whatever reason, getting my highest owned player on the whole slate is being Tim Hardaway Jr. And it feels really nasty. He's exactly the type of guy you don't want to play at high ownership. And I mean, I have him projected at 25% owned or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to do about that. Luka, same issues with all the other studs. Memphis, I'm getting to some amount of Derrick Rose at 4,700. It looks decent, and Desmond Bane at 87. So talk to me about is Tim Hardaway Jr. just look like a good play because of the way the slate breaks down as far as
because Kyrie Irving's out.
Oh, but Luka's in, right?
Yeah.
But
with Kyrie out, and obviously Kleber's already been out, and Grant Williams is out, and Josh Green is out. So basically, all of their guys are out. So I actually do think that this is a game that I want to get after. I actually think Luka is the spend up I want to get to.
Okay.
With no, on the road with no Kyrie, it should. I feel like he's being a little under projected, to be honest with you. And I don't think people are going to play him, which is really weird without Kyrie that he's being projected this poorly and that people aren't going to play him. The other plays would be if you're not going to play Luka, I think I would play some Jaden Hardy. I think there's some upside there. And I think Hardaway and Derek Jones are going to project well because they're going to play. They're going to have the minutes, but we both know they have bust paths. So I probably would try to narrow it to one of those guys, Hardaway or Derek Jones. And I just didn't get to anything else quite, but I do think that with that Kyrie out, I think somebody's going to have a game here. But I think that I would probably, Hardaway is the most logical, but I think Hardy might be my favorite to get a little bit different. And Luka's weird to say Luka getting different, but it is going to be getting different. And then on the other side, Desmond Bane. So Desmond Bane is a Dallas kid. He was really furious that Dallas didn't draft him. He's torched Dallas every time. Now this game is not in Dallas, so I don't like it quite as much. But Desmond Bane is already a good play at 8,700. I think he put up 65 last time they played. I love Bane as a run back. So if you can find a way to play a Luka Bane lineup, that might be a good place to get a good start for a tournament build. Now you're using a lot of salary, but you could get 75 from Luka and 60 from Bane in this matchup, and I don't even think that's even close to out of the question. You could even I'll keep Jaren Jackson in my pool, and that's about as far as I go. But I do think that this is a game that I'm probably going to be looking to spend up for some of these guys.
Utah, Oklahoma City. So the way my projections work, I have them from like all different places, and I kind of like tweak them and do other stuff with them. And for me, like if you look at SaberSim, for example, like SaberSim has Nick Richards a little bit better than Hartenstein, and then like a decent drop to Yurt 7. I have these guys like almost all the same. So I have Yurt 7 on the same level as Richardson and Hartenstein, and I have him projected a little bit lower owned. So I'm gonna live with that, and that's the question I'm gonna ask. Is of those three, do you have a clear ranking there? But I definitely think Omar Yurtseven just belongs with the same group. And aside from that, I'm currently not getting much of anything else in this game in my build at all.
So yeah, this is interesting because I agree with you about Yurtseven being as good a play as the other ones. The only thing I would just makes it a little bit maybe more volatile is if Collins is in fact available, which he's questionable right now. You have Collins and Olynyk who can both play the 5 as well. That's the one way Yurtseven could lose out here if he doesn't play well. Those guys could easily take up the minutes, but I do think Yurtseven is right with him as of right now. And on the other side, Isaiah Joe is projecting through the roof.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have no Lou Dort, and I think that it's SaberSim's projections have gotten a little wonky on this. I don't think he should be projecting 6x, but he is.
That's so weird. I must have done it earlier. I have even SaberSim with Isaiah Joe with only 18 fantasy points for him.
Interesting. I'm looking at it right now at 23.
And maybe they moved him up. Yeah,
but it just dropped from 24, so maybe there's something happening.
This was older, and then I only have him at 17, so
Well, Lou Dort was announced out, I think this morning, pretty early.
Okay.
So that may just be like a little bit of a lag. So Isaiah Joe would be the logical guy, I guess, but I don't think it's any sort of like a lock that he's going to get the minutes. It could be Kason Wallace. They have Aaron Wiggins. They could still use for that. Bertans will probably get some minutes. Kenrich Williams will get minutes. So just because we're missing Lou Dort, I don't know that I want to overreact and make Isaiah Joe, who's very shooting dependent. He's an excellent shooter. A good matchup, but playing him if he's going to be like 30% owned, I'm not going to do. If he's going to be low owned, I absolutely will take that shot on him. So Minnesota, New Orleans.
I guess pass like most New Orleans games. Let me see. Like most Minnesota games. Let me just take a look and see if I got to anything. Yeah, I'm scrolling down my exposures, and it's taking me a while to get to anybody from this game at all. Like the first guy I get to is Ingram, and I have like 5% of him. So this game is probably a pass for me.
Yeah, probably for me too. And I want to address something Jolly just mentioning, and I'm just going to try and take another look at it because he asked about from Memphis. What are the thoughts on
Derrick Rose?
No. Well, he asked. I'm trying to figure this out here. What am I missing? Why is Tillman so poorly? Like he asked about Tillman because at some point you'd think Tillman would get his starting job back, but I don't think you can play a guy who's played coming off a 6-minute game. It's just if he's not starting. If Tillman is starting, I think you could weigh him in there with the other guys. But there's just so many other good plays at center. I don't think you can wait for it.
What is his price, Tillman?
51. They're all in this little range.
Yep.
All right. So we had nothing from the New Orleans game.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm just trying to look. Like, is there anything I could talk myself into? I don't think I need to. Maybe Anthony Edwards. That would be about it. All right, moving on. What do you got next?
I have Chicago, Milwaukee.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, I really don't have too much. I mean, again, Giannis, he's same, not same play, but same idea. I mean, he could certainly smash. Just doesn't seem the slate to do it though. And again, like you said, I mean, if you're going to prioritize a spend up. Well, I'm not saying that he's necessarily the best spend up on the board. I mean, you could say that. I mean, not the worst. Hey, maybe he's better than Luka. I don't know. Maybe he's better than Embiid. I really don't know. These guys can all score 80. Chicago side, I don't know what I would want to do there, if anything. Maybe DeRozan. Aside from that, though, I mean, not a lot here.
Yeah, I actually think that Chicago is being a little bit underprojected. So I like Vooch, I like DeRozan, I like White. I probably would pick one because I don't really want to run back this game. But remember, Milwaukee does play at the third fastest pace in basketball. I think it's an upgrade for these guys. And Kobe White has been really, really good, like for fantasy purposes, and actually been playing pretty well in real life. So I'm okay with the Kobe White play. He's put up 43, 55, and 39 without Levine. I think that's plenty of reason to play him against a team that plays drop coverage and doesn't cover 3-point shooters. This seems like a great spot to play Kobe White. So maybe I end up siding with him over, which is crazy, him over DeRozan or Vooch, but I think that might be where I'm at right now. So I actually do like the Bulls side of this a little bit. All right. Moving on. San Antonio, Houston.
Yeah, dude, I have to say that I didn't speak to you because it must have been the Friday slate or Thursday. I forget which one, but I know neither of us were around. But I did play the Wembanyama game, and he just smashed, and he was like 4% owned, like everywhere. And I just couldn't get the rest of the lineup to work. I got like 12th or something like that in the Monster on FanDuel or something like that, among other things, and I just couldn't get the rest of it. I think I paired him with DeRozan or something like that. I think maybe with DeRozan and Vooch or something. I got a little bit crazy with that. And I think, as I recall, I played Osman as well. Remember, I did the whole games that there. Wembanyama, man, 20 rebounds. That's a number.
He's awesome.
That a 2020 game, that is a number. With that said, I have to say that a couple of things. First of all, Houston has been playing really well defensively all year. They've been very, very slow. And yet still, I'm getting a decent amount of Wembanyama today. And as a matter of fact, I'm also getting, and this makes me feel good, a decent amount of Jabari Smith on the other side. So you get one of these, so to speak. So Wembanyama, Jabari Smith, you get one of these. And the total's not great because the Houston games are never great anymore. But I got Wembanyama, and Wembanyama is under 12K, so that's good. You know, and it was funny because I was going to make a joke that when he went to 9K in his last game, I'm like, well, good luck because it's the last time you're going to have a chance to play him at 9K. Guess not.
I know they're sort of tempting us here.
That's not. Now again, you could always play Sengun, as we mention every time. But again, on a slate with good centers, it's tougher to get to him.
Yeah, I think Sengun is going to absolutely annihilate this.
And there you go.
I just think that Sengun is going to go nuts, and I love the problem I have with Wembanyama, and it's early in his career, so it's hard to say this. He definitely plays. I mean, his fantasy production, he averages 10 more fantasy points per game at home so far this year. He's averaging more minutes at home. So it's just enough to maybe if I'm not going to play him one day, maybe this is a day and it's a good Houston defensive team. But I do think that Wembanyama is a strong play. Sohan is the only other. So Sohan and Vassell I think are fine, but I probably outside looking in tonight. Sengun is the other one for me in this game, and it's a great matchup for all these guys. So if you wanted to play Van Vliet, I'm good with that. If you want to play Jabari Smith, that's fine with me. But I just think Sengun, unfortunately, we have these other centers, but Sengun might be my favorite play. I don't know how he's really going to fail here. I really don't. Maybe foul trouble. I just think it's a great spot for him. He's just too big and strong for anybody that can match up with him. All right, next up.
Brooklyn, Sacramento. I don't really have. I'm just looking again. Yeah, I don't really have much of anything on here. Let me just double check. No. As I'm scrolling down, by the way, I did notice that I had a little bit of Derek Jones Jr. I forgot to mention in the Dallas game. And as I'm scrolling down, I did get a few shares of Sohan from that San Antonio game also. But Brooklyn, Sacramento, I'm really getting nothing.
Yeah, it's a great pace game. It seems like we should have some interest in something, but I'm having trouble too getting there. I will say that Mikal Bridges and Cam Thomas, I think, are interesting, like large field tournament plays. Cam Thomas is just a total wild card, but when he gets going, he can put up 40 real points. So like nothing. So I have no problem if you want to just close your eyes and take that gamble in what I consider to be like a really good matchup for him. And if you want to play Malik Monk, that's fine, but I don't see it as a priority by any means. If Malik Monk is out, then you have something you could probably. I probably would just talk myself into Herder. That's probably where I'd be at.
It's a perfect time to do it too. He's coming off a 17-minute like 0 over game.
Yeah, exactly. But we've seen that before. Like he had that earlier in the year. We had like a 5 fantasy point game and then like a 45 or 50 the next game or something like that. All right, Portland and the Clippers.
All right, so Brogdon being day-to-day is a big deal, and we might not know what it is until the game locks. Until plenty of other games lock. At least they price Simons up where it's not one of those things. But if Brogdon is out, I guess Scoot Henderson becomes playable at 5,300. He hasn't put up a single game, at least that I'm looking at, that I want. But Brogdon out certainly would help. The only other thing I would say about this game is that I do see that Norm Powell is 4,400 or something like that. And every once in a while he'll play like 30 minutes. Actually played 30 minutes the last 3 games. I don't know. You give me him at 30 minutes. I don't know. That's something reasonable that I don't think anybody's going to play. So I don't have him right now in anything, and I have really nobody from this game at all in any lineups. And I built like 50 of them. But I'll just say that Norman Powell is 4,600 and he might play 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think that there are worse plays. I don't think that the problem is just the production on with these guys is a little bit tough to get to with all the other stuff. I'm not really getting much from this one, to be honest with you. I think Zubac and Kawhi would be my 2 favorites, and I think Ayton's expected to possibly be back tonight. So as is Brogdon. If they're both out, I actually don't think it's too expensive for Simons, but we're probably not going to have that information. So probably going to be a stay away for me on this one. Interesting slate. We went through it pretty quickly considering such a big slate. I've got my, the priorities. I like the Indy Detroit game, Cunningham. I really like Luka and Bane as spend ups. I think that Isaiah Joe, depending on where his ownership is an interesting spend down. All the Hartenstein, Yurtseven, Richards at center. I think they're all interesting. And if you're not going to play Richards at center, maybe play Washington at power forward. Hardaway, Derek Jones are other potential value pieces, but I kind of like the Jaden Hardy if I'm not going to play Luka. And then the Bulls guys stand out a little bit, and then Wemby and Şengün is what I've gotten written down.
Yeah, I like the Indiana-Detroit game as the big total stack, and then I like the Houston game we just talked about. I like pieces from both sides of that, which I definitely like. I'm getting these Charlotte guys. It's a little annoying, so I don't know how much I'm really going to do with that. And I guess, like you said, Hardaway is a good play with Kyrie out. And I'll tell you this if don't forget to play. Not that you have to, but if you do get that news that Monk is out, Herder is probably a really good play.
Mm-hmm.
I think
he would be a pretty good play.
Or does what's his name show up? Does I don't know.
Not quite. I don't think it's enough of a thing.
Does Chris Duarte get minutes?
It's possible, but I don't. Monk doesn't start anyway, and Duarte has been a DNP CD. So even when Fox and other guys were out, we didn't see. We only saw that one game where he really got a bunch of minutes, or 2 games, I guess he got a bunch of minutes.
Remember the Monk roll. This is like 30 minutes off the bench.
Yeah, but Davion Mitchell can play a ton of minutes. They're super deep. They've also got Keon Ellis as a rookie for them that they're going to play minutes. So I don't know that anybody's actually, other than Herder, going to look like much of a.
So I think that might be
maybe Keegan Murray.
Does Herder start?
Herder starts. Yeah,
he does start. That's going to be my initial lean is I end up playing Herder with Monk out. That'll be mine.
Nice. Yeah. The only thing I would say is that I still don't know that it would be like a smash, but I think it's it's fine anyway. By the way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
like you play him and then like Norm Powell, just like stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Because I don't think many people are going to play much in these late games because they probably shouldn't. but if you got a couple of these guys late, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. And just going to remind everybody that it's probably going to look like a very different slate a little later today than it does right now. But this is what we got for right now, and I'm going to try and see if I can find a way to get Luka and Bane in a lineup together because I love that.
You like Bane, huh?
I really do. And I mean, he's been like pretty. This is an incredible matchup. He's been great. Everything sort of runs through him. His usage in the last, he put up 75 the other day. he had 49 real life points. Wow. He's put up, his last games are 75, 45, 48, 45. Like, even those ones I would take. And that one Dallas one where he was there, he could have even had a much bigger game, but I think he missed a rotation somewhere in there. Anyway, all right. So anything else, Sheets, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm just like looking around again. Dallas, Memphis again. The Utah OKC, nothing really except for, you got to look at the Isaiah Joe thing.
Yeah.
And then it's 12:37, so I'm just curious, is it 12:41 that like Giannis gets ruled out, or is it or 7:03 where Embiid gets ruled out, or something like that?
Yeah, I would imagine that's definitely possible today.
No, 7:03 wouldn't be Embiid because he's at 7, but 7:03 for like Jokic to get ruled out.
Yeah,
because he's 7:30. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Or Luka to get ruled out, and then we got Hardaway at 80% ownership.
Yeah, okay. That's or actually, yeah, Jaden Hardy would be like 90% on.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, man. Well, good luck to everyone today. We'll see you live at 6 Eastern.
We will be live for NBA at 6 o'clock.
All right. All right.